What makes this jump feel less fun than this jump? Keyword being feel. Maybe you like the sound of the first jump more, but it's safe to say that Madeline's jump feels better. This elusive property, known to most as game feel, is something that anyone who plays video games instinctively knows, but most of them will never consciously notice game feel, but they'll notice its absence. When playing a game, do you ever sit and think about how it feels to move your character around that space? How long it might take them to accelerate to their maximum walk speed, or how fast they jump? Well, all of these little details are what makes up a game's feeling. If a developer doesn't put thought into these things, a player will instantly notice. Simply put, if you want your game to feel good, you want to accentuate the tasks that you want to reward your player for doing. If your game's a shooter, then the shooting needs to be accentuated. The gun can't sound like this. It needs to rattle your skull, the screen needs to shake, their controller needs to angrily vibrate in their hand. If it's a fighting game, you make the game pause for a few frames when a punch lands, and the poor guy taking the punch needs to grunt in pain and flinch and flail violently. The punch sounds need to be bassy and loud. If you're making a 2D platformer, the jumps need to be responsive and quick, but also have weight to them. Their jump needs to be versatile, being able to tap the jump for a little hop, or hold the jump for a long, drawn-out leap. Their jump's fast, but then slows down as they reach the apex of their jump until they reach a stop and begin to fall again. Maybe you can even have your animations be squishy like in Celeste, where Madeline's sprite will elongate when she jumps and become squashed when she lands. All of these tiny details contribute to the way a game feels. Everything from the sound an ability makes to the number of frames a character squats down before they jump, every single tiny detail will make a game feel drastically different. This might sound daunting to a budding game dev, but it allows for a lot of creativity. If you want your game to feel deliberate and weighty, you can go the Dark Souls route. Make most actions have long startup times and a lot of end lag, so every action needs to be well thought out. Or you can go the other way, making your games very twitchy and reactionary like a Quake game, where everyone moves really quickly and your character can turn in fractions of a second, and your screen's movement is limited only by how fast you can move your mouse. Game feel has been learned down to a science by most good developers, and there are no end of fantastic examples and ingenious tricks to making a game feel fun to play. I want to take a look at a pretty recent, pretty effective example of what I'm trying to talk about. The Leviathan Axe from God of War. Kratos is a demigod who literally killed Zeus himself, so Kratos needs to feel extremely powerful. It needs to feel like every swing of the axe is thrown with the force of a god. Literally. The God of War games have always been full of something called hit stop or hit pause, where the animation pauses or slows down for a few frames every time you hit an enemy, which accentuates each blow. God of War's axe's hit stop has been slightly tweaked though. When Kratos lands a hit with the axe, Kratos' body still keeps moving, but the axe stays in place for a few frames as if it's stuck inside the enemy. After this small pause, the axe dislodges from your foe and quickly catches up to your arm as if it's been violently yanked from the enemy's body. When Kratos throws the axe, it makes a satisfying whooshing sound, and it can smack into enemies on the way there and on the way back, having a similar hit pause effect when it does. When he recalls the axe, it hits his hand and his arm jolts backwards and your controller vibrates slightly, accentuating the mighty impact. Every single sound is bassy and hits you in the gut. The harder Kratos swings, the longer startup animations are, leaving you anticipating the heavy blows for just a little longer than usual. God of War's Leviathan Axe is not the first to use these tricks, of course. Even the old God of War games had similar tricks used to make Kratos feel powerful, but the Leviathan Axe is just a wonderful example of how subtle these things can be. It might seem insignificant to some, but without this attention to detail, your gaming experience would feel a lot less awesome. Thanks for watching.